Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. It's time for a winter log cabin. And actually one of you inspired me to build this. Yesterday I published another video, a modern mansion, and then I read your comments and someone was asking for a winter log cabin, including a walk-out basement. This is where I'm starting to work on the basement first here, or I did. Now I'm working on a triangular shape. So I was really inspired because I figured I have worked on a couple of Christmas builds in the past, but I think I've never built a true winter build, like no Christmas theme, just winter, snow, beautiful in the mountains. This is a first, and I felt really inspired when I read that comment. And whenever I finish a build, I'm like, okay, what's next? And this comment really inspired me. So thank you for all your recommendations and all your amazing comments always, and your constructive criticism and your help and your love. Just thank you for all your comments. I really appreciate it. So I started to work on this yesterday night actually, and it happened really quickly. Like, the build isn't that big because, as always, most of the time I used a good amount of the lot for landscaping. So I built the basement at the bottom, and I have to be honest, this is like not really the true walkout basement thing that you requested, like the person who was asking for this build, because eventually I ended up using the basement for a pool, so it's like a pond or a lake, and then there is some type of patio. So I'm sorry, I still owe you a true walkout basement build, I guess, or maybe even a tutorial about this kind of thing, but this year is a bit different. But I was really inspired, and I used the same windows that I actually used for my last build. They are just perfect. You can arrange them in a way so you like have a true huge glass window basically, because we have free window placement now, and they have this perfect square shape, and I'm just in love with these windows, and the swatch was just perfect for this type of build. I was going for this typical log cabin Rocky Mountain kind of feel, but at the same time it has a modern twist. I feel like the triangular shape and the windows make this a bit modern, and at the same time it's really authentic and rustic, and I really like this. I didn't even plan this, I just figured that a triangular shape would be cool. Then these windows were just the perfect fit, and this is why I used them. So it just happened. And then I built a roof on top, and what I did was I pulled out the eaves in the front, and I simply used columns to support the roofs, or it looks as if the column is supporting the roof. We don't need this in this game, as you guys know. So what I can recommend, this is a little trick that I saw on Twitter, and unfortunately I forgot who it was who recommended this, but I saw this a couple of weeks or months ago. So you know the key that you are pressing to size up objects, and this is different for every keyboard layout, by the way, but the key that you use on your keyboard layout in your language to size up an object, when you select a column, when you press this key, it's going to raise your column even higher. So there's a maximum height when you use the arrow to drag up your column, but then when you use the key, you can make it even higher, which is amazing in many cases. And I did the same here, but for some areas I had to place more columns on top of each other. You will see what I'm talking about, but this is a little trick that I used here, and I can totally recommend it if you want to have this look where you have a column below your roof. And just in case you didn't know this yet, when you hold down Shift on your keyboard, you can pull out only one side of your roof, the eaves I mean. So when you don't hold Shift, all eaves are going to expand on all sides, but if you hold down Shift, you can make it so that only one side gets bigger, which is just perfect for this type of look. I definitely need it. So this is a 50 by 50, and because I did the whole basement thing, I was running out of space really quickly, and the floor plan was really confusing. So I just moved the lot around a little bit to make one side smaller, and at first I created this round patio using one of the round foundation pieces with a fence attached to them. You know the one, my favorite round piece. But I ended up getting rid of that because there are so many triangular shapes that the round shape just didn't look right for some reason. As I always say, once I'm using a round shape, I try to use more of them, and the same goes for the triangular shape, and they just didn't match. They just didn't look right together. I don't know. The round shape wasn't that beautiful in this case, and you guys know I love my round shapes in this game, but here I just wanted to go all out when it came to the triangular shapes, and I just love the triangular shape in the front so much. These windows and the columns, I don't know, this is like the absolute eye-catcher of this build for me. And I just added some platforms here and there, but not a lot. I mean, this is not a platform build. Like I said, when I built the platform mansion, that I wanted to use as many platforms as possible. But here, I just built the house. And in some areas, it made sense to use some platforms, but I didn't put a focus on this at all. Also not on the interior. And as you will see, the interior is pretty modern and minimalistic in a way. I tried to keep it really open because I built so many windows, like all around the build there are windows, and I wanted to have this feel where you have a modern interior, not too much furniture or clutter, and then you have these huge windows and you look on the outside, there's snow and trees, just beautiful. So this type of build or mansion where you feel like you are on the outside even though you are on the inside, this kind of thing. There are also many areas where Sims can just sit and have a barbecue and just hang out. And at the bottom, I didn't mention this, I built this arch, which is part of Discover University. It's a debug object. And I also planned to build a bridge at first, but then I didn't like it because it just didn't look right. And I also didn't like that you couldn't really see the water anymore. And I felt like the water is like a crucial part of this build, and the bridge was just in the way and it didn't look right. I don't know, sometimes I can't even explain it. Like sometimes I just look at it and I think, no, that's not right. And then I remove it. So I eventually got rid of the bridge. And now here at the bottom, this is one of the patio areas that I mentioned where Sims can walk out of the basement. But then there is a lot of water, as you can see. I just used the custom pool tool to fill in the whole area. And my plan was to have a bridge then later, after I didn't like this one, that is like hovering above the water surface, so not as high, but this wasn't working for some reason. And now that I'm rewatching this, I realized why, because the basement has a floor and I should have deleted the floor using the sledgehammer tool, and in this case it should have been possible to build a floor piece on top, so I have my floating floor piece to have a bridge. It was telling me conflicting block clusters and all that. I thought it was the whole basement thing in general, but now that I'm looking at it here, I think it's because of the floor in the basement. But as I said, the bridge wasn't a good idea either way, so I didn't use it. And then I used some snowy escape debug rocks, and I wanted to have a waterfall. And the waterfall is also a debug object, and it's part of island living. And the problem is when you're using it, as soon as you change something like the pool or anything near it, the game really likes to delete the waterfall. So if you should use this, always make sure that all your waterfalls are there before you upload your build to the gallery, because sometimes you build your waterfall first, then you make a lot of changes to your build and it's gone. This happened to me before. So I actually had to rebuild this. Like I'm adding it here, but I think it's going to disappear at some point. And it's just so beautiful. I wanted to have this beautiful, I don't know, like this snowy, beautiful landscape. And when you do this, when you want to recreate something like this, I sized down some of the debug rocks and I brought them into the correct position holding down Alt, and you have to find the correct position, because when you are moving them too much into the pool, into the wall, then the snow is going to disappear, and I wanted to have the snowy look, so I always had to find the correct position because it just looks so beautiful. Also, in case you're wondering, when it snows in this game, there's snow everywhere, also on the roof, just everywhere. And I didn't like this for this build because I still wanted to see what's going on the roof, like the roof color, if it looks good. So I wanted to have a bit of snow. So what I did was I let it snow. You could use either this weather machine for this, or you could use MC Command Center or the UI cheats extension. There are different ways to do this. And then after there was a lot of snow, I then switched the weather to hot, so the snow started to melt instantly. And then I hit pause in the correct moment, and then I switched back to cold weather. And then I have to say I didn't even go into live mode a lot, especially not without hitting pause, because I didn't want to lose the rest of the snow. I wanted to have this type of level. So if you are building, if you are making videos, if you want to have this look, then this is what I can recommend. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you are playing, because then the snow comes and goes and it shouldn't matter. But if you want to work on a build this way, so you have like a feel for the snow and how it looks like, kind of, but you still want to see the roof and all that, would be my recommendation. And I don't really like to build when there's just snow, and this is what I did for my winter builds mostly. Some of them I even built without snow and then I let it snow, but this here is the best solution in my opinion, because you still have an idea how your build looks like when it snows, and also color-wise when you build a Christmas build, for example, but at the same time you still see what's going on the roof and all that. I don't like when it's just white. This is like so boring, and to be honest, like to me, it's boring. And if I'm not wrong, when you are building in Montgomery in the area where snow, the snow never goes away, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I don't even know. And I'm not sure if the trick would even work there. I have no idea. But in Granite Falls, it's all good. And I wanted to have more triangular shapes, so that's what I did at the bottom. Then there was a weird glitch with this platform. I just undid it and I was confused. We all know this. There are lots of glitches right now, and sometimes you just have to press the undo button and you just have to move on and not think about it, I guess, so you don't get too angry at all the bugs. So that's what this is my strategy right now. I just press undo and I don't look at it anymore. And I added some trees. Again, I had to make sure that I find the correct position so there's snow on them. I didn't want to have some lush green tree. I wanted to have a really beautiful snowy tree. And here you saw me struggle with the bridge. As I've explained earlier, I should have deleted the floor below my pool, but I didn't. But I mean, at least I now know what's wrong, so for the next time I know what's going on. I don't really build basements this often or at all. Like in general, I noticed this in my builds. Like I don't really use basements a lot, and before we got the terrain tools I used them more often, because this way you were able to create the illusion of terrain. This is what I did here a little bit at the end of the day. And I really like what the terrain looks like below the build, like this slope, the snowy. I don't know, I'm just really in love with this build and the whole theme, and I'm really in a winter mood right now. I told you I'm not in the Christmas mood, but I would be really happy if there would be a bit of snow right now, but there isn't any snow, unfortunately. Let me know if it's snowing where you are located and just what's going on. And if you're in the winter mood or Christmas mood or whatever you are celebrating. Are you in the holiday mood yet? So I have to say that if you don't like the terrain tools, if you just don't like them, and I know that a lot of simmers think that they are complicated and a lot of simmers don't touch them, this here is a really simple and good solution. You really just need a basement. You have to click on the basement, and then when you go one story up, you will see that there is a yellow frame around your basement, and when you click on the yellow line you can select delete ceiling, and this way you have a huge hole in the ground, your basement. And then you could always use some rocks at the side, and you can totally simulate terrain this way. So if you don't like the terrain tools, this would be my recommendation. As I said, this is how I did it before the terrain tools were introduced, and I have to say I'm of course really happy that we got the terrain tools, but at the same time it was so much fun to just create this look, and there weren't any terrain tools, but I really enjoyed to just mimic the look of terrain tools. This was like really challenging and fun, and this build kind of reminds me of these days, and this just happened. I have to be honest, I didn't think this through. I just wanted to have the walkout basement thing. I wanted to have a cabin, and I just started to build, and eventually I ended up using this old method, but I think it's really beautiful, and the rocks have a totally different look than just terrain, and I feel like the snowy escape rocks are really beautiful. And if I'm not wrong, there are some which always have snow on them. Like this is like the look of the object. This is not really real snow in the game, but the texture, there is some snow on top. So this could also be good if you always want to have the snowy look in a build, even when there's no snow. So this could also be a good solution. I just remembered this because I talked about the whole trick that I used to have a bit of snow here and there, but this is also a way depending on what you are building. So the snowy escape pack has lots of weird debug objects. This is like an ongoing theme recently. Like no matter what people think of a pack, debug is always so good. Like even for Journey to Batu, there is really some good stuff in the debug menu. So I'm really excited about this. Ever since they introduced the live edit objects, there is just so much good stuff in debug, and I'm always excited for new rocks, and of course I'm always hoping for a new waterfall. We got 3 waterfalls, 2 came with Discover University in debug, and 1 with Island Living, the one that I used here. Maybe one day, I don't know. And here I'm working on the interior. At first I used a different floor color, as you saw. I wanted to have this different wood color, which would have matched the windows and the exterior, but this was just too dark, and I wanted to have this modern feel, yet cabin-like. I wanted this to feel like a cabin build, so I really tried to find a middle ground here. And this kitchen is from Spade actually, and this here is some NoCC gallery art. As always, you can find all gallery IDs in the description box where I'm giving credit. There is so much great stuff in the gallery in general, of course, but also when it comes to NoCC gallery art. I always talk about this now, and I talked about this on Twitter, but I used to use a lot of CC back in the day. And I always went CC shopping. I was really addicted to custom content, and I really enjoyed it. And then I went cold turkey when I started my channel. And for me, even though those days are over, whenever I'm taking a look at new NoCC gallery art, it kind of reminds me of CC shopping. It's a lot of fun because you can find some new stuff for your build, even though all of them are paintings, but you can always find new stuff for your builds. And I really like that there are some, I don't know, like a backsplash for your kitchen, house numbers, letters, of course, regular paintings. I really like this, so this inspires me. And I just filled some areas of the build just with some armchairs, a lamp. I wanted this to be really open and airy, as I said. And here I actually used one platform. I wanted to have a fireplace. This one is from Snowy Escape, and I just wanted to have just a small platform. And it was really tough to keep it this simple because I technically wanted to add more stuff. But here, for example, look at these windows in the background, and then you just have this really simple modern sofa, which is from Discover University, by the way. You can just move them into each other using the Move Objects cheat, so you have a corner sofa. So really simple and beautiful. Look at the sun and how beautiful this is. So I didn't want to use too much clutter. I'm generally not someone who uses a lot of clutter, I would say. But here I really tried to keep it even more simple for this type of look. I've built some cabins or cabin-like builds in the past, which were much more rustic. So here I wanted to try something else. Also, I feel like at the moment, I'm just really enjoying to build modern stuff. Maybe this is why I gravitated towards using these windows again. But I just have a modern face. So maybe this is also why I did this for the interior. I don't know. And I used the same windows that I used on the exterior for this shower. So this is like a shower from Discover University. And at first I just wanted to build a wall, but I felt like this looks so cool. Of course, there's no privacy like inside the room, but I mean, it doesn't matter. Once you're in the bathroom, just close the door and take a shower. I don't know. And I used lots of really bright colors for the interior, lots of whites and this really bright, beautiful wood color. And as I said, really open, really airy. I built a room divider. I just used a wall and some windows and this wall decoration from Eco Lifestyle. And then I just built a TV there because I used so many windows all around the build that there wasn't any wall where I could have just placed the TV. And this is one of the bedrooms. So I kept this really neutral, I have to say. So this was built in Granite Falls and it can be used as a rental lot. Now you can even create rental lots in any world, but this is also a residential lot. So when you grab this from the gallery and you place it, I don't know, maybe in Willow Creek, it's a residential lot. But at the same time, because I built this in Granite Falls, I had a rental lot in mind. This is why I didn't decorate the kids' rooms too personal. So I don't know, I wanted this to look like a rental lot kind of. So really neutral, just a bed, a bookshelf and all that, not a lot of toys and stuff. So I didn't want this to look like a regular house. I wanted this to be like a rental lot in a way, but you can also totally use it as a regular residential lot. You can just add some toys maybe. So this is up to you, and I'm really glad that now we can have rental lots in every world, which is like really exciting. I could also imagine this in Mount Komorebi. I mean, it doesn't look Japanese or anything, but I can somehow imagine it. And for this bedroom, I used 2 dressers from Get Together, if I'm not wrong. And the cool thing is, as you can see here, you can build a wall so it's like a proper walk-in closet or something, which is really, really cool. It also comes in different swatches. There are some hidden gems in Get Together. I have to say that I was never the biggest fan of this pack because I'm not really into the whole Tudor thing. I mean, I like this style, but this isn't like my most favorite pack. But then there are some objects which are so great, like the stone rock that I really like to use, for example, or this little fence that isn't really a real fence, but it's like an object and you can place it to create some round shapes. There are some real hidden gems in this pack, in my opinion. And this is another bedroom. As I said, I kept them quite neutral. I wanted this to be really happy, and I still used a lot of wood just so it fits into the theme, but at the same time it's quite modern. As I said, I used this armchair a lot, which is from Eco Lifestyle. I think it's one of those that can be crafted, so you have to activate your debug cheats in order to see them and to use them. I mean, not to use them, to just place them, to build them. Your Sims can sit on them without any cheats activated, of course. And this is one of the kids' rooms. I mean, as I said, no toys or anything, really simple, but at the same time it kind of has a kids theme. It's also really colorful. And then on the exterior I built a couple of more tables and fireplaces and stuff, and at the bottom I wanted to have a room for activities, just some type of game room, so your Sims could just hang out and have a good time. There's also a sauna. I figured of course your Sims would be there to explore granite forts and all that, but I wanted to include some stuff that would be great just to have a good time, to have some fun, a bar, and just different things, as you can see. And this aquarium is so beautiful. It's from Spa Day. I don't think that I've ever seen this one, like with this round shape. I know there's one that isn't as round, I don't know, but I'm not sure if I've ever seen this aquarium. No matter how much you build, there are always objects that you've never seen before, and you stumble upon them and you're like, oh great, I can use this. And I think this is also the case for rugs. Like whenever you want to build them, there are so many different swatches, and in some swatches they have a different shape. This is always a surprise. You never know what's going to happen. And here this area, just turned this into an outdoor area because this was like really weird because of the arches. So it just made more sense to turn this into some type of indoor-outdoor garden, I don't know. And this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you like this build. You can check it out in the gallery. You can find all the information in the description box. And as always, if you haven't joined the KateEmerald community Discord yet, you can still do that, of course, and you can find the link below. And in the description box, you can also see the gallery IDs for the NoCC gallery art that I used. And I would like to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you will have a perfect weekend, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye!